Welcome, welcome. This is incredibly exciting because we are on the final day of 2022 and we're in week 2 breathography, doing a total body class. We have Chelsea and Adele. This is so exciting. I can't wait to give you feedback. You see Chelsea set up right there, perfect height at the navel of the spine with her tether point. She's got her ab ribbon ready to go, and you can see that she's wearing her ab ribbon over her shirt, and you can do it either way. Some people prefer it on the skin to have that proprioception, but over the shirt absolutely works because of the weight of the ab ribbon. It really gives you a nice amount of feedback. Nice 45-degree angle, both ladies. With that punch out to the side, we're starting with a little cognition cardio to turn the brain on, and we are bringing the knee up on count 7 with that band around the waist to warm up and work the hamstrings and the glutes here. I always cue no sound on the landing with the low impact plyometrics, using that strong exhale. Really nice job, both ladies, bringing the band up to just the height of the forehead for this one to warm up the arms and also the rotator cuff. Always a strong focus on the wrist alignment. Chelsea, you can bring the flex your forearms a little bit more when you're holding that band, just to keep the wrists in alignment. Really nice work, Adele, with that 45-degree angle with the arms and keeping the head gently pressing back into the hands. With that one here, now we are pulling the band apart. Again, I know there's a big focus on wrist alignment right now, but Adele, you can think about flexing your forearms even just a little bit more as you're holding the band, just to get a better neutral with the wrist while holding the TheraBand. As we do hold the TheraBand and hold the weights quite a bit, we always want to think about that grip of our hands holding the weights, holding the band, and making sure that the wrist is in optimal alignment, but also when holding the weights, making sure to grip equally with all fingers, so you're not over gripping with just the index finger, the pinky, etc. Really nice with that rotation. Chelsea, make sure to think about the opposing oblique of the front leg in that lunge, just so you're always thinking about the stability on the lateral plane of the pelvis, meaning trying to keep the pelvis as level to the ground as possible when doing a lunge, especially a rotational lunge, because it's pretty easy to kind of sink into that hip and not optimize the work of the outer glute and the opposite oblique, and that really helps to balance out the leveling of the hip in that exercise. Really, really nice work. I like that we're both, Adele and Chelsea, are at different points in the exercise. So now I'm looking at Chelsea coming up to that hammer curl. I love a hammer curl as a functional movement. Think about it. Usually when we're picking up something off of the ground, it's more of a hammer curl and less of a bicep curl. I've actually been thinking about this quite a bit, so I'm putting a lot of hammer curls in the program right now. A nice job keeping the head nice and stable with that high knee, and excellent with that balance work as well. And you can see that Chelsea is doing a really great job of maintaining that relationship with the ab ribbon. I could see her, pulling that transversus abdominis in, which is the muscle that ultimately just loosens the ab ribbon around the waist when going through that 8-second engaged exhalation pattern. Really nice work, Adele, keeping that left hip back on those split squat lunge plyos. Chelsea, make sure to, I only saw it on the first rep, but make sure to keep the arch lifted of the supporting foot so that the knee stays in alignment and that there's no adduction, meaning don't let the knee ever go inside the big toe, especially with the band around the ankles, because of course that's something that we're challenging there, is keeping that, really strengthening the endurance of the hip abductor, the outer hip, which is going to help keep that knee in alignment and prevent any kind of adduction. And I saw that a little bit with the lunge as well, where the knee was coming in just a little too much for my preference, just to make sure that the knee is protected there. Now Chelsea's and Adele are in that that seated teaser. Chelsea's doing a great job of keeping her head nice and back, using count 5 of the zip up activation to keep the head in line. Not only keep the head in line, but also challenge the abs more by using the weight of the 20-pound head to challenge the abs even more in that exercise. And see, Adele is holding onto the side of the chair, which is a really great method of making sure that the spine stays in alignment and that you're using the obliques optimally in that teaser. Now Chelsea's in the plank, the 3-point plank, and getting the overhead press, perfect angle, that 45-degree angle with that overhead press. I prefer that 45-degree angle with the arm, just to reduce the risk of shoulder irritation. Adele's on her forearms here, which is also a wonderful Wonderful way to approach this exercise as well. Just keeping the low back stable and trying to keep the weight equal between the feet. You know, with that overhead press, when you're on one hand, just thinking about keeping maybe even more weight on the opposite foot than the foot of the that side of that you're putting the hand into the ground, just to make sure that you're staying super stable through the pelvis, through the SI joint. With the shoulder rotator cuff, really nice work. Chelsea, make sure to keep the arm at a 90-degree angle and don't let it open up past 90 degrees, just to optimize that shoulder, the rotator cuff work. And here we are going into our plyometrics, where we're alternating between punching at the height of the forehead and the height of the navel. As you go through that breath pattern, both of you had excellent form there. Basically, we're just trying to resist rotational force and not let the body rotate toward the tether point, and also keeping the arch lifted of the foot that's nearest to the tether point, because that would be very easy for that to collapse inward while performing that plyometric work. So really always thinking about that relationship between the feet and the floor, and that's why I like to work out barefoot, and also to manage the sound of the landing, because if you're landing too loudly, then you know that you're putting too much impact on the body, for this particular workout, right? Now here, Chelsea, I think you can pull your left hip back a little bit more and keep that left arch lifted again, just to make sure that you're maximizing the activation of the glute in the single leg balance exercises, and keeping that knee in alignment. And so here, Chelsea's going to that teaser on the other side. I like to press the right rib cage back into the ball as hard as you can here, just to make sure that the obliques, the left external oblique, the right internal oblique, are staying as activated as possible in that teaser exercise. Really excellent form, Adele, in the plank. Totally straight as an arrow with the spine. Posture is perfect. Chelsea's in that 3-point plank with the overhead press. Chelsea, try to get your elbow to touch your rib when it comes in the back, just to make sure it's not flaring too much to the back, and that you're maintaining that control of the arm eccentrically, meaning on the return of the resistance back to the body. Adele in that side plank, looking really awesome with that shoulder rotator cuff. She's been working a lot on the shoulder rotator cuff from a lot of different angles, so really nice control. Here as well, with the elbows coming in from that plyometric, Adele, only let the elbows come into like halfway back through the rib cage, and don't let the elbows go back too far, with especially when you're moving with speed like that. Of course, we are doubled in speed just for these cueing videos, where she's not actually moving that fast, but whenever there's we're using movements for cardio and getting using a little bit of speed, really want to stay nice and controlled with those, with the arms. Perfect with the tricep kickbacks. I think you can pinch the shoulder blades together even more, full shoulder retraction when it comes to tricep kickbacks and rows and things like that, just to really protect the shoulder joint and work on the endurance of the shoulder retractors and shoulder stabilizers, so there's no irritation at the front of the shoulder joint with tricep kickbacks, which can happen if you're not in full retraction there. So yeah, Chelsea looking really awesome. Make sure you get the arms all the way straight with that tricep kickback. And I like to limit the movement of the tricep kickback so that when the weights come back, you're only coming back to the hip joint and not going any further forward than that, just to really work on the postural endurance and not go into any any level of a bicep curl or hammer curl. So just going back to the hip joint. And now, working the butte. So here, Adele's doing a great job of balancing that imaginary glass of water on her sacrum. So stable. The engaged exhale really helps with that, and her head posture is perfect. And notice how she's keeping her head retracted back. But I like to cue, make sure you're not shoving it back or forcing it back, with too much force, because of course we want to always work on the head posture, but make sure that that it's not rigid in nature, and that you're not using, again, too much force to shove it back. Gently is the key. Excellent work, Chelsea, with that isometric row there. I think that you can get the arm extended back just a little bit more, just to make sure it's not at too acute of an angle, and that you're not overutilizing the biceps to hold that position. So you can just drop the arm back like 2 more inches, and that is absolutely perfect. Really nice job with that balance and those rows, Adele. Totally stable with the foot. Now here's a great place to think. Stay very stable with the foot. As you're doing that footwork, we're adding those foot taps to strengthen the shin in that position. And I would bring the weights to touch the hip joints, Adele, just to make sure that, again, you're not overusing the biceps as you do that row, especially because the body's at a 45-degree angle. We've already gotten enough biceps, and I believe that we only need so much with the biceps. And Chelsea, I would say only bring the elbows back to the rib cage. Don't bring them too far back with this one, and aim to get the weights. Bring the weights up to the hip joint instead of being at too acute of an angle, again, because otherwise we're overutilizing biceps. And why not minimum effective dose, less is more. Just bring those weights to the hip joint, and with these higher repetitions and the focus on the balance, I really believe that you're getting everything that you need. Thank you, Adele. Great job. And now Chelsea's finishing up here, and she's going back to those rows. Awesome form with that horizontal row. Full shoulder retraction on the way back. This one's just a little burnout, getting the heart rate up with that breathing. The ball's between the knees to keep the knees nice and stable, but making sure to keep the knee between the arches lifted so that the knee stays in alignment. Thank you so much. Really great work.